And what's up, everybody? It's drmobius again. We're back with another Schedule 1 build. This time we're at the docks, and I'm going to show you an 8-mix cocaine mix that gives this cocaine 8 different properties, including Cyclopean and Zombifying. It is top of the line, and customers happily pay for it. It goes for $999 when you increase it by 1.4 times, and they will happily give you $1,200 or more when they order this. This is good stuff. However, because of that, this docks build is a little bit more complicated than the last two. It has 8 mixing machines, 4 cauldrons, 4 ovens, and let's just say it's big. So I'm going to start this a little bit different this time, and I'm going to show you the completed docks build first, and then I'll take it apart so that we can build it together how I've done in the past videos, where I'll leave the shelves up as spacers so that we can use them to place all the other equipment. So let's start off with the completed build. Let's jump into it. Alright, so right off the bat, we'll just jump straight into the shelves positions. You can see here, right when you walk in the door, we're going to be flanked on both sides by a set of 4 different shelves. So right up against the door, there's 4 shelves on this side of the door, and also on this side of the door, there's another 4 shelves. Also, right at the bottom of the stairs, there's a shelf. This is the same on both sides. And that takes care of this back wall. Once we have these shelves against the wall done, you can take an extra shelf and use it as a guide. You can see that there's 3 spaces in between where the shelves against the door are and one of these middle shelves. So use just like an extra shelf to give yourself the correct positioning to be able to slap this first middle shelf down. And then there's just 3 across the middle. Now once you've got this back wall and these 3 shelves done, we'll just start working our way clockwise around the room. Under the stairs, there's another set of 4 shelves. And then as we head to the back of the room, up against the wall, there's 3 shelves on the back wall. If you're going to be using bags or jars, you can place this extra shelf here on the very end. It's aligned exactly where it would be if you try to slap it against the beam. It'll just fall into place like this. I'm using baggies here just for the cocaine to individually bag them. So I put this extra shelf here, but the important thing is the 3 against this back wall, and then under this set of stairs there's another 4 shelves. Now upstairs, these 3 shelves here are all extras. I use them as backups for the soil and the fertilizer, and then another dumping shelf. So that completes the basic layout of the shelves. Let me go ahead and pick up all of the cauldrons and mixing stations, and I'll see you again with a much more empty looking docks. Okay, so at this point you should have a fairly empty docks warehouse similar to mine with the exception of the shelves. So let's first go upstairs and I'll show you the bed placement. So come up to the left side. Here's the first 3 beds. You can see there's 2 against the wall and 1 facing the other direction. In this room, there's 2 long ways against the walls and then 2 short ways down the middle. Squeeze them all in there. And then in this corner, 2 this way, 1 the other, and the last bed, which will be your bed, right here. Now this does sort of block the hallway. You just got to hop over it, but again, nobody even comes up here. None of the employees come up here. You only come up here to pay them and to sleep in your bed. So we'll carry on and go straight into the mixing stations. So at this point you should have these middle shelves in there to use as a guide. The first mixing station, make sure the arrow is pointing towards you. Line up the back of the mixing station. If you look on the ground, you can see those 4 squares, 8 squares total, but 4 in a row. The back 4 squares that show the back placement of the mixing station should be aligned with the middle shelf. Go ahead and slap those down. And again, we're doing 4 on one side, and then we're going to turn around and do 4 back the other side. Just back to back. That'll take care of the mixing stations. Next, we're going to jump into the pots. So there's 24 pots. We'll start with the main body of them, which are down here at the bottom. The first pot is going to go right here by the door, and then 1 in the corner. And we'll just draw a line all the way down. We're just going to walk all the way down this back wall, and it's just pot after pot after pot. And when you get to the end here, at the end of it all, we actually want to be blocking this door here with a pot so that we have 3 pots against these short walls on both sides. So there's 3 pots here and then the whole back wall, or technically 2 pots and then the back wall. But either way, it should look like this. That leaves us with 6 pots left. We're going to take those and go upstairs. Now, to place these easier, to make sure we get them in the right spot, switch over and grab 2 of your drying racks. Now that you have these beds placed here, take 1 drying rack and put it right beside the bed facing you, so it's facing outwards like this. And then the next one right beside it. And now we'll have the placement for the other pots. Just like that. So it goes bed, 2 drying racks, and then your last 6 pots. Put up the suspension racks and the full spectrum lights next. It's pretty straightforward. So you've done it once, they just click straight into place very easily. Okay, that's all the pots, suspension racks, and the full spectrum lights. Next, we'll put down the remaining drying racks. You should have 6 more drying racks. All right, so for the drying racks, the first drying rack is going to go right up against the last pot down here. Then you're going to give it a bit of a space. So the next drying rack, you want space enough for you to get in between them. So the next one kind of goes in these pillars like that. And then the same amount of space to put the last one. So you have enough room to walk in between them. We're going to copy that on the other side. The first one goes right up against the rack. The second one, the back half of it's kind of in the beams. And then once again, enough space that you can walk and fit between them. And that's how those should look. Next, we'll do the cauldrons. So the first cauldron, we're just going to go up against the back pillars for the stairs. You push it up as far as you can to where it'll actually place it, and make sure that the arrow is looking at you while you're placing this. It should be facing away from the stairs. So place the first one down and then turn around, flip the cauldron so that the arrow's pointing towards you again, and try to push it all the way up against the back of the drying rack as far as you can get it where it actually places, and drop it there. We'll go around the other side of the room and do the same thing. First one underside of the stairs, and second one up against the drying rack. Just like that. Next, we'll put the ovens down. For the oven, you want to place it in front of the cauldron with the arrow pointing towards you. And do that on all 4 cauldrons. Just like that. And next we're going to put down the brick press. Brick press just goes right here at the very end of the last mixing station and up against the back of the shelf. All right, that's all the equipment. Let's start getting the automations handled. All right, so first step for these automations, we need to configure all of the pots and tell them which seed we want and that we want fertilizer. So hold down Shift with your clipboard selected and start selecting all the pots. There's 24 of them. We do the ones downstairs and the ones upstairs. Just as you go, watch the number increase on the clipboard and make sure that you've got them all selected. Now by the end, you should be able to look down at the clipboard and see it says 24 pots. If it does, hit E to manage it. The seeds are going to be cocoa seeds, and the additive we're going to be using is fertilizer. Go ahead and hit enter. That's all done. When that's done, you can scroll off the clipboard and scroll back onto it, and we'll select the drying racks. Select all 8 of the drying racks. And with all 8 of them selected, hit E to manage it. Target quality is going to be heavenly or the gold star, and we'll deal with the destination in a second. So for now, you can just scroll off of them again. We're going to start assigning the destinations of the pots. So go upstairs with your clipboard. These first 3 pots, go ahead and select them. Hit E to manage it, and for the destination, choose this first shelf. And scroll out and scroll back to the clipboard. Select the next 3 pots. Hit the destination. E to manage destination and this second rack. Now we can scroll back off the clipboard. You can just walk by and make sure all of these are going to a rack. And once that's done, we'll go downstairs. So the first 3 right up against the wall are going to go to the furthest rack out here. So select the first 3, E to manage, select destination, and go to the furthest out rack. Scroll out of the clipboard and back in. We'll select the next 3, holding it on shift, select the next 3, E to manage, destination, and it's going to be the middle rack. And scroll off and back on. And then as you're going through as you're hovering over the pots, you can see which ones have been selected. So the first unselected one, we'll do the next 3. E to manage it, select the destination, and do the rack closest to the pots. Now that that side's done, we'll go back to this back wall, the other opposite side. Do the first 3 of them. E to manage, destination is the furthest out rack. Do the next 3. E to manage, destination, the middle rack. And then the next 3. E to manage, destination, the rack closest to the pots. Now just to verify, we can walk by slowly and keep hovering over the pots. Each one of them should have arrows pointing somewhere else. That's what we want to see. With those pots all assigned, and now we can assign the racks. The racks are going to go to cauldrons. So starting on this side, we're going to select these first 2 racks. Hit E to manage their destination. Their destination is going to go to this first pot, or this first cauldron. Scroll out and back in. Go to the opposite side. Select the same 2 racks that would be on the opposite side, these 2. E to manage, hit the destination, and it's also going to the first one on this side. Then we're going to go up to the top of the room and select these 2 racks. Hit E, make the destination the second cauldron on this side. And then we have the last 2 racks. That's going to be the 2 in the front. Hit E to manage them, and it's going to go to this second rack, second cauldron. So now once again, just for sanity check, you can go through, hover over each one of these, make sure they're all assigned. Yep. And that takes care of those assignments. Now we'll go to the individual cauldrons and select each cauldron and put its destination to the oven directly in front of it. And then with all of those assigned, the last thing to do is to take all of the ovens, select them all, and all of their destination is going to be the same. It's going to be the first mixing machine. So get all of those selected, hit E, and set their destination to this mixing machine right here. This will be our mixing machine number 1. Now we're going to go through and assign each of the mixing machines. Their destination will be the one right beside it or behind it if that's the case. On each of them, we're going to set the threshold to 10 and hit the destination and choose the next machine. Once that's done, you just hit escape, select the next machine, destination 10, or threshold 10, destination next machine, hit escape. Do it again, threshold 10, destination the next machine, hit escape. 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 Threshold 10, destination the last machine, hit escape. Threshold 10, destination the brick press. Now for the brick press, select it, and its destination will be the shelf right next to it. So it will output the bricks straight onto that shelf. Now that's all of the pots and cauldrons and ovens and mixing machines automation. So now let's grab some botanists and start assigning them. Okay, time for some employee assignments. We'll grab the first botanist that we see. He's going to be upstairs, so for his supply rack, it's going to be the one at the bottom of the stairs here. That's his supply rack. And then choose the edit icon for his pots and racks, and we'll start with his racks first. It's these last two. Hold down shift and select those 2 racks, and then select all 6 pots up here. Then hit enter. That's how it should look. That's the first one. Scroll off the clipboard. We'll go down and grab the second botanist. Their supply rack will be the first one at the bottom of the this area here on this back wall. So that's going to be the supply shelf for this botanist. Hit edit. Their 2 racks are going to be the 2 closest to the pots here, like that. And then we'll select 6 pots. And then hit enter. That one's done. We'll go grab the next one. And now we're going to go to the complete opposite side and just basically mirror what we did. So supply rack for this one's going to be the opposite one on the other side of the wall. Not the middle one, but this one here. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll select the 2 racks closest to the pots and then 6 pots. And hit enter. Looks good. We'll grab the last botanist. And they have the arduous task of having 2 racks on either side. But we're going to give them the middle rack for their supplies. So now we just find the ones that are not assigned. If you hover over the pot, you can see right there it says already assigned. But this one doesn't say already assigned, so we know that's where they're going to start. But first, let's grab their 2 racks. These are the racks that are closest to the cauldrons on both sides. So there's the 2 racks. And now when we hover over, there we go. This one's not assigned. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just to verify, the next one is already assigned to. So we know we have the right pots. Hit enter. All right, that's the botanist assignment. Next is the chemists. Now there was a bug with cauldrons. If you have a chemist working more than 1 cauldron, the second cauldron would get bugged out. As of today, Friday the 25th. It was actually released yesterday on the 24th of April. Tyler released an update that was supposed to fix the cauldrons. However, just to be on the safe side, we're only going to assign each chemist one cauldron. So for this first chemist, they're going to have one cauldron, the oven, and the first two mixing stations. Just like that. Hit enter. We'll go to the second chemist and assign them. They're going to have the second cauldron and oven, and then the second two mixing stations. Just like that. Hit enter. Third chemist. They'll have the third cauldron, oven, and the next two stations, mixing stations. And then the last chemist. One, two, and the last two stations. One, two. Just like that. And now all we have left is the handlers. All right, now we'll grab the first handler, and we're just going to start with some routes. So just like my build at the barn, I like having two shelves for every mixed substance that we use. So there's going to be the primary and then the backup shelf. The primary shelf and the backup shelf. So this first shelf is mixing ingredient number 1. So we're going to make a route from that to the mixing machine 1. The next route will be, you skip a shelf, will be the third shelf over. That'll go to station number 2. So as you can see, this is 1B, 2B. So this will be ingredient 3 shelf to the third mixing station, and skip a shelf. This will be the fourth ingredient to the fourth mixing station. And that takes care of that handler. We'll go grab the second handler. Manage the first route for her. On the other side of the room, it starts right here under the stairs. This is number 5, 5B, 6, 6B, 7, 7B, 8, 8B. Just goes in a big circle. So we'll start with ingredient number 5, and that goes to mixing station 5. Next is ingredient 6, mixing station 6. Ingredient 7 over here, mixing station 7, and ingredient 8, mixing station 8. And this handler who's doing them on this side of the room will also be the one working with the brick press, so we can assign them the brick press. And that's the majority of the equipment setup. I do want to give a shout out to the coconut stick. His video pretty much inspired this one. I made some couple tweaks myself, like the dual supply shelves and some other tweaks, but his video will be down below if you want to look into how he did it and have another view on things. But all that's left at this point is for me to stock the shelves and go over the recipe with you, and we'll go over the supply shelves for the botanists. Now, if this is your first time down here at the docks, if you barely just got it, there is a gas station very close where you can simply drive to with a Viper to do all of your stocking. I'll show you right now. You just head directly up the hill and it's right here on the left. Very, very close, super easy to get to. You can just pull into this parking spot here at the side, and when you load your van, when you buy the ingredient, it'll actually load the van for you. You can see right here, there's a checkbox that says load into vehicle. So with that being checked, anything that you buy, it'll just dump straight into the van. So I'm going to get 320 of these and 160 of these. 320 fit in the van and 160 will fit in my inventory. Once you hit purchase, 320 is in there, and I'll pick up these last ones here. And then we'll just head straight on back to the docks warehouse.
Oh.
Oops. They'll be fine. They're fine. All right, I have finished the stocking. I'm going to show you now the supply shelves that the botanist will be using. Each of the supply shelves are identical. You want 20 of the long life soil, 40 of the fertilizer, and 20 cocoa seeds in each. Now you could make it 30 soil, 30 fertilizer, or 30 seeds, 30 soil, but what I like to do personally, I've had issues before where even though I have assigned the pot to only be the specific seed and to use the additive like fertilizer, I've had it happen before where the botanist will run out of fertilizer and will plant the seed anyway. So then it drops the quality because it doesn't have the fertilizer. So just to combat that, anytime I have a supply shelf for a botanist, I always make sure it has at least double the amount of fertilizer as it does seeds, so that they will never run out of fertilizer or whatever your additive is. If you're using additives, always have more additives than seeds. So that's why I go with 40 of the additive and only 20 seeds. But each of these supply shelves will look identical to this. There's that one in front, and then these three on the back wall. They all have this exact same mix of soil, fertilizer, and seeds. This is the shelf just for baggies. If you're using jars, you can put jars here and your packing station. And then the actual recipe for the mix, we have oil, then cuke, then paracetamol, gasoline, cuke again, batteries, horse semen, and then mega bean. So now you can see how these shelves work where I have them doubled up. They just go around the room in a circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now this last shelf is for gasoline. This is the only part of the build that isn't 100% fully automated, and that is you need to make sure that the cauldrons have gasoline in them. But it can hold a big stack of 20 gasoline cans on each cauldron. So this thing will run fully automated for like an in-game week or two before you'd ever need to restock the gasoline again. But either way, that's what this last shelf is for, is to put your gasoline in. I also like using these top shelves to store extra soil and extra fertilizer. You can use this last shelf to store your extra seeds. I'm just using this third shelf because both of these two are extras. The only one that you need in the build is the one right next to the brick press. But this middle one is my dumping shelf. Anytime I come back from dealing, I just dump my stuff in this middle shelf because it's right there with easy access. So then this shelf on the other side I use for the seeds, extra seeds. And that's it. All the hard work is done. The equipment is down. Our employees are assigned. They know what to do. We've stocked the shelves. The only thing left is for us to sleep and watch them get to work. Let's do it. And that's it. That's the whole thing. It's all done. It did take 4 days before we got our brick, because the first, well, 1 or 2 days. The first day it was nothing just but cocoa growing. On the second day, some of the cocoa made it to the drying racks, but none of the drying racks made it out to the cauldrons. The third day, we finally got some cocoa into the cauldrons and into the ovens. Some of them started shuffling around, and we got like 1.5 batches that went through the cycle, but there was only 10 in the brick press, so it wasn't enough to press a brick. So it wasn't until day 4 that we started getting some bricks pumping. But now that it's going, it'll be nice and quick, and it'll be just pumping out bricks, probably 2 or 3 a day. So it takes 4 days before you start getting some actual results from this build. But that's just what happens. You just gotta let things grow and let the cycle run its course. But with that said, if this guide and the video helped you, please like the video. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.